So after a disastrous several months after its IPO, the question is whether Facebook has hit a bottom. The shares are up over 20% after third quarter results last night. Rob, they solved the mobile problem, it sounds like.
They're making good steps there. Let's put it that way. But they're doing it very fast. They had basically the mobile business was zero 6 months ago. And,
which is what sort of rattled everyone right before the IPO.
Which exactly. A lot of their users are switching over. Well over half now access it on their mobile device. And if you can't put ads on that, you have to wonder, what's the company going to do for money? But they seem to have at least made really big strides very quickly, because they said in the conference call last night they're making about $3 million a day on mobile ads. That's about $1 billion a year business, which the companies
wasn't clear. People were factoring in something much less than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Richard, the other question here is though, okay, so you got $1 billion business that just showed up that people didn't expect, but they've just added $8 billion worth of market value. How do you kind of square that?
Well, it's also a little tricky when you consider that. As part of, who knows exactly where the costs fit in, but the costs went up a lot in the third quarter as well, and at least in sort of official GAAP terms, they're still making a loss, right? So
the market didn't want to pay attention to that.
When it comes to, so the market's kind of latched onto, maybe Facebook kind of regained a growth story because they've managed to at least begin to crack. It's early days, I would argue, but they've managed to begin to crack this mobile area, but. You still got to look and say, well, $50 billion is a pretty high market cap.
It's still a healthy valuation for even at that stage.
For a company that made a loss in the quarter.
Right. This is the expense line rising is not the only sort of question still, right? There's competition.
There are a couple of things you have to worry about. Okay, Google is a much bigger business. Are they gonna come in and steal Facebook's lunch? Maybe, or maybe Facebook could actually steal Google's. And then you have to also wonder about how durable is this? Because it's very easy in the early days to grow a business. If you're growing off zero and suddenly you show up ads, then suddenly, boom, you've got a business. And there are other questions too, like, are these ads actually real? Are people actually really clicking on these ads, or because you've got a false screen and you're accidentally like, oh, that's the wrong button, let me press backwards.
It's the fat finger business model, maybe.
Right. Well, there is the question about really what is mobile advertising at this stage. Do we get any color on sort of what these ads really are, how they're doing?
Well, my understanding was Rob might know better, but that they're these sponsored items in the news
stories
feed,
in the news feeds, yeah.
Which you could imagine getting annoying for people too.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. We'll keep an eye, see if they can do this again, and we'll be back with more Breaking Views tomorrow.